Well, coming back to a subject, yeah. What I was teaching you yesterday, I was just been teaching you about how do you write a program in different programming languages. How do you write a program in different programming languages? Where we started from C language first, and what did you say? A C program is going to be a collection of members. A C program is basically a collection of members. What we call variables and functions. A C program is going to be a collection of members, what we call variables and functions. And the members that you define in the program are ultimately ultimately called from main. We call it from the main function. So this is what I shown you guys. How do you write a C program? Yeah, look at this code. This is a simple C program. What did I do? I defined two functions: add, next, subtract, add and subtract. Now I went to main function, and the main function I called it add function. When I call add, the value 100 goes to x here, the value 50 goes to y here. So internally 100 plus 50, 150, return 150. It returns you 150. The value 150, what is returned now, is captured in result 1. It is captured in the result 1 in this case. Same like this only here also. What's it? You're calling sub of 165, 35. 165 comes into x, 35 comes into y. So 165 minus 35 is 130. Return 130 comes into result. This is how. So ultimately, from where the calling should be done? From main. Why main? Because this is the entry point. This is the entry point. Who calls it? Operating system. Who calls it? Operating system. So operating system will call the main function. When you run a program, operating system will call the main function. When operating system calls the main function, what will main function do? Main function will start calling the add function and the subtract function. The main function will start calling the add and the subtract functions in this particular case. So this is how exactly the execution takes place. Okay? Void, no, every function should have a return type now. Every function should have a return type. So void means non-value returning. That's why we used void. You where read printf. I did not write printf. You write here printf. Then you say percentile d, comma, result 1. So just telling you how to call it, that's all. Afterwards, you will print the result, you will store the result in a database, you store the result in a file, that is secondary. The point here is how to call it, that's all. After calling it, you can do whatever you want. Okay, yeah, main is non-value returning. For that, we use void. SQL Server, do you cover SSIS and SSMS? Integration services and what is SSMS? You need to talk with your SQL faculty, not with me. Okay? Ask your SQL faculty, is it going to be taught or not? I think integration services, analysis services will not be coming into. Management Studio is basically, without Management Studio, you cannot understand SQL Server at all first. Integration, analysis, reporting, other three. MS is compulsory here. SSIS, SSES, SSRS. Those three will not be covered. Those three are completely different. They come under data warehousing. SQL Server means they'll teach only about database. That's all. SSMS will be taught and RS will be taught, reporting services. I'll announce you. When will it start? I'll announce you. What is today's date, guys? 16th. Tomorrow onwards, HTML will start, guys. I'll give you the meeting ID tomorrow. Evening 4 o'clock, you can just attend. I think classroom is also available. You can either come in the classroom or you can listen online. Choice is yours. I'll provide the meeting ID. If your classroom, directly come off here only. In the same room only, the class will be present. Okay? So you can just come off here also. So, fine. So, yeah. Same, the syllabus will be sent to your mail ID. Just to check in the syllabus. And that's what I'm telling you. SSIS, SSAS, and SSRS. All these three comes under data warehousing. You're not learning data warehousing. You're learning SQL Server. What they teach is only Management Studio. Okay? Only about the database management, not about data warehousing. That will not be covered here. Okay. Yeah. So guys, are you clear how to write a C program? Understood all of you? Now, this next thing what we just have is C++. What is the next thing? C++. So what is that about C++? Array, C++ code is also like C language code only. C++ coding is also like C language code only. Only difference is in C++, your code should be defined inside of a class. Your code should be defined inside of a class. Are you clear? So what to do? You cannot write the members directly. That's what I explained yesterday. Members cannot be defined directly. Members cannot be defined directly. You need to define your members inside of a container called as a class. What is a class? A class is a wrapper. I repeat, a class is a wrapper, and everything is wrapped up in a class. And by wrapping that into the class, what we achieve? Security. We get security through classes. Okay, that's what exactly. What I'm trying to tell is, so we cannot write the code directly. We need to write in a class. Yes, yesterday I shown you that also C++ program. Just to see the difference. Now the two functions are present inside a, open the mouth here, inside of a class. And this class is a container now where all the code will be present inside of the class now. So this class will provide the security. This class will provide the security. But what is the point now? What is a class? A class is a user-defined type. A class is a user-defined type. What is int? Int is a predefined type. Int is a predefined type. What is math? Math is a user-defined type, but both are types only. One more difference I said, you remember? Int is scalar. Int is scalar. Math is complex. Int is a scalar type and math is a complex type. It is going to be a complex type to you. That is the difference what we have. Okay. And very importantly, what I clarified, alright, you cannot consume a type directly. If you want to consume a type, you require to create a copy of the type. If you want to consume a type, you require to create a copy of the type. And remember, copies of simple types are called as variables and copies of complex types are called as objects. A simple type copy is called as variable. Complex type copy is called object. So now, math is a simple type or complex type? Come on. Math is a simple type or complex type? Complex type. So its copy is called as variable or object? What do you call? Object. So what is OBJ? You're required to create an object first. When you create the object, what will happen? Memory is allocated for the class. Memory is allocated for the class. After allocating the memory, now you can call the members. Now, how to call? Object.add, object.sub. But come to C++, C language, did you call like that? Add, sub. That's all. But here, obj.add and obj.sub. This is how you should call in object-oriented programming. Are you clear? Guys, I'm not giving you or I'm not telling you about object-oriented programming in detail now. I will talk about object-oriented programming in detail, what happens when you create an object, all the things later. Today, I'm only trying to tell you the difference in programming between procedural languages and object-oriented. In this, I said you two new points to you. The first new point is members should be defined inside of a class. The second new point is to call the members, create the object of the class. That's all. How memory is allocated, where memory is allocated, when memory is allocated, all these things we'll learn in detail when I start object-oriented programming to you in the C#. Clear? Today, to teach you two new points, I just explained the concept to you. The first new point is members should be inside a class, and the second new point is to call the members, create the object of the class. Is everyone clearer? Yes or not? So what is the first object-oriented language? C++. And this is how you write code in C++ language. This is how you write the code in C++ language. Okay? Guys, listen. Even though C++ is the first object-oriented programming language, even though C++ is the first object-oriented programming language, it suffers from a criticism. Even though C++ is the first object-oriented programming language, it suffers from a criticism. What is the criticism? The criticism is it is not fully object oriented. What is that? It is not fully object oriented. Yes, guys, it's not fully object oriented. Why, sir? What is the problem with this? What is the problem? What is the drawback? Why is it not fully object oriented? So, number of questions in our mind now. Why is it not fully object oriented, or what is the drawback with this? What is the drawback with this C++ language? Okay, let me clarify. Actually, according to the standards of object-oriented programming, according to the standard reusability or object-oriented programming gives you reusability, Neeraja. That's already available. That is not the drawback. Listen carefully. According to object-oriented programming, every member of the program should be defined inside of a class. Did you understand my point? According to object-oriented programming, every member of the program should be defined inside of a class. It should be defined where? Inside of a class. Okay? Look at the code and tell me, is every member defined in the class now? Come on. Everything in the class? Main is out of the class here. Everything is inside the class. Main is out of the class. Watch it. Did you catch my point or not? What object-oriented programming tells everything should be inside the class. But here main is not inside the class. Main is outside the class. So that is why it suffers from the criticism. It is not fully object-oriented. But when I say that, you'll have a doubt. What is the doubt? Sir, why this confusion? You can write inside the class only now. Why this confusion now? You can write inside the class. If you write inside the class, it will become fully object-oriented. Am I correct or not? Yes or not? Okay. Yeah. Members means functions, variables, everything will come. Now see, where is main? Tell me now. Come on here, be interactive, be active first. Where is main? Inside the class. Can I call it fully object-oriented now? Yes or not? But this program will not run. This program will not run now. Why, sir? If I write main outside the class only, it will run. If I write main inside the class, it won't run. Why it won't run? I'll tell you. Why it won't run? Understand this. Why this code will not be executing now? Understand this one. Okay? What did we learn yesterday? How to call members of a class. Can you answer this question? By using object of the class. By using object of the class. Is the point clear, all of you? How to call members of the class? By using object of the class. Okay? Fine. Very good. Next. Where do we create the object of class? Come on, answer me. Inside main function. Object of the class is created inside the main function. So where do we create object of class? Object of class inside main function. Okay now? Next. In the above code, is main function a member of the class? Tell me, in the above code, is main function a member of the class? Why no, yaar? You put it inside the class no, and you're telling no now. Inside the class only now. Yes or not? So it is a member of the class? Yes, it's a member of the class. Earlier it is not a member. Now I put it inside the class. That is a member of the class. Are you clear? Okay. Now tell me, if main function is a member of the class, then how to call it? It is a member of the class, how to call it here? Using of the class. Are you clear? Read all the 4 questions and answers carefully. There is a problem in that. Can you identify and tell me? Come on. Read all the 4 questions. Relate one by one to each other. And now you have a problem in that. Can you tell me? What is that accessibility issue? You're using very high-fi words, accessibility issue. What is that? Tell me. Did you understand? Relate all the things here. Where do you create the object? Inside the main. With that object, you can call main. Huh? That is only it is telling now. Read all the 4 points carefully. Object is created inside the main. Am I correct now? What is the last point telling you? Using object to call main. Object creation is done inside the main. With that object, how is it possible to call main now? Clearer or not? So what will happen until main method, main function starts execution? Object creation will not take place. Correct or not? What the point is telling you? Object is created inside the main only now. So until main function starts execution, object creation will not take place. Am I right? Yes or not? Then what is the last one telling here? With object call main. Object is not created yet. Object creation is done only when the control goes to main function. Object will be created. If object is created only, main function will execute. We call this as circular dependency. First one depends on the second one. Second one depends on the first one. This code will never run. Are you clear what is the problem now? Yes or not? That only I said you. If you write this inside the class, this code will not execute. Why? It will immediately become a member and the rule comes now. What rule? Members should be called by object only. But unfortunately, object creation is done inside the main now. Are you clear? This is a deadlock situation. This is a deadlock situation what you're going to come across in this case. I'll tell you a small example. See, you're staying in a hostel. Suppose you're staying in a hostel and in your hostel, you have an individual room. Okay. For your room, you have a lock. For your room, you have a lock. So the hostel for your room, the lock was fixed like this. A lock was fixed like this, guys. You people have solved these locks now? Yeah, you people are aware of these locks? Yes or not? See, these locks basically, one side you will have a key, the other side you will not have a key. Other side you will not have a key. What is it? You will be having a knob. You press the knob and it is locked. Knob will be inside the room or outside the room? Inside the room you'll have a knob and outside the room you'll have a key. Is it clear? Yes or not? So every day when you're going to come out of the room, you put your key in the pocket, you press the knob and pull the door and come away now. Understood my point? Every day when you're coming out of the room, your key will be in your pocket or your bag here. So what do? When you're just going to come out of the room, you just press the knob now and pull the door, locked. Now how to open? With the key you can open the things. No one can open. Are you clear? Every day you're doing this. Today also you've done the same thing. Today also you've done the same thing. You pressed it, you got it, came out. After coming out, you noticed one thing. What you know? The key is not there now. You forgot the key inside the room. You forgot the key inside the room. So now let us not talking about breaking the locks and doors now. Just a simple question. How to open the door? How to open the lock? With a key. How to open the lock? With a key. Where is the key? Inside the room. You are in a deadlock situation now. Why? Until the lock opens, you cannot get the key now. Until you get the key, lock won't open. Yes or not? Until you get the key, lock will not open. Until the lock opens, you cannot get the key. The same thing only I said you now also. Until object is created, you cannot call main function. Until main function executes, object creation will not take place. The code run, never the code one run. So this is what they call as a deadlock situation or a deadlock scenario. Is everyone clear? Yes or not? To overcome this problem, what the designers have done, to overcome the problem, the designers have started writing this outside the class. Now tell me, is main member of the class? Come on, is main member of the class? No, it's not a member of the class, it's out of the class. So can I call it directly? Yes, you can. Members of the class only should be called by use object now, not non-members. It's not a member. Can I call directly? Yes. Operating system can call this directly, and this will become your entry point. This is going to become your entry point. Now, after becoming the entry point, what happens? Object is created. The other members of the class will be called now. Object will be created and the other members in the class will be called now. This is what happens to you. And this is how exactly the execution will take place. Is it clear? Why do you write the main out of the class now? Yes or not? To run the code, main should be out of the class. But if you write out of the class, you will suffer from the criticism. What criticism? It is not fully object oriented. Don't forget this point. What is it? C++ is the first object oriented programming language that came into picture. C++ is the first object oriented program that came into picture. But even though it is the first object oriented program that came into picture, it suffers from a criticism that it is not fully object oriented. It suffers from the criticism that it is not fully object oriented. Am I clear? Yes or not? Because there is no other alternative. 10 to 12 years, the industry followed this approach only. Because there is no other alternative available, 10 to 12 years, the industry followed this approach only. No other alternative available. So industry followed this particular approach only for 10 to 12 years now. So what happened later? In the in the 90s, Sun Microsystems was designing Java language. In the early 90s, Sun Microsystems was designing Java language. Now, the designers of Java has taken this very seriously. What is that? Java language should not suffer from the criticism. It is not fully object oriented. Are you clear? The designers have taken it very seriously. The Java language should not suffer from the criticism. It is not fully object oriented. Come on, tell me here. If you don't want to suffer from the criticism, it is not fully object oriented. Main should be inside the class or outside the class? Inside or outside? Inside the class. Outside the class, you have the drawback now. So main should be inside. So what is their plan? Their plan is to write this main. The plan is to write the main inside of the class. Just a minute. I will not disturb that. Let me copy this code as it is here. Okay, that is C++. Ignore it. Now, in Java, if this is Java, okay, we'll talk about Java. Now, guys, they want to write this main where? Inside the class, not outside the class. Okay, one thing I want to tell you. In Java, C#, all these languages, we don't end a class with a semicolon. In C++, class structures are end with a semicolon, but not in modern programming languages. No need to semicolon there. Is it clear? Okay. Now, where is main, guys? Where is main? Inside the class or outside the class? Inside the class. If it is inside the class, again the same problem starts. If it is inside the class, again the same problem starts. What problem? Without object, you cannot call main. Without object, you cannot call main. But there is their target. What is their target now? They want main to be inside the class, but not outside the class. Are you clear? But how to resolve the problem? This main will not execute without an object now. The main will not execute without an object. The door will not open without a key. The lock will not open without a key now. Are you clear? Yes or not? Okay, this is a problem. So, to resolve this problem, what did they do, All of you, carefully listen. To resolve the problem, what did they do, In Java, they divided the members of a class into two categories. I repeat, guys, in Java, they divided the members of a class into two categories. They divided into two categories basically. What are the two categories? One, non-static members. Two, static members. Now, what is the non-static, sir? What is the static? Okay, listen. Till now, whatever we learned in C and C++ or non-static members only, guys. Till now, whatever you learned in C language, C++ are non-static members only. Okay. So what came new? What came new is, so you know non-static, guys. What you don't know is static. That's all. So what came new is static members. Okay. Now see, if any member of a class is prefixed with static keyword, then we call that member as, static member. For example, look guys, class test. In this class, I'm declaring int x is equals to 100. Okay, and remember this is non-static. And here I'm writing static int y is equals to 200. This is static. Are you guys clear? Yes or not? Ray, what is static? I'll tell you. First, did you understand the difference between non-static and static now? By default, every member is non-static. If I write static, that will become a static member. Understood the difference between non-static and static? Every member is non-static only. Only thing what is new? Static is new. If it's static keyword, then that member becomes a static member. Okay. Next. Now listen. Non-static members of a class require what? Object of the class. Okay, both for initialization and execution also. For initializing or for executing, what is required? Object of the class is required. Okay, whereas static members of class doesn't require object of the class both for initialization and execution. Are you clear with that point, all of you? Read that carefully. To initialize or call non-static member, what is required? Object of the class is required. But to initialize or call static member, object is not required. Without an object, I can call it now. Did you understand my point, all of you? Object is not required. Without a object, I can call it now. Hope you guys are clear. Tell me confidently, understood or not? Object is not required to call it. Okay now? So we don't require object to call the appropriate members. So now, one thing is clear for us. What is it? If any member is declared static, object is not required to call it. Understood me? So what is the conclusion? If any member of a class is declared as static, what? Object of class is not required to call it. Not required to call it. Okay? Guys, now come back. So this is our Java class, right? Right, this is our Java class. Main is installed data. But same problem will start now also. No? To avoid the problem, that's it. Problem solved. Now tell me, main requires object to call or not required? Main requires an object or not required? So now the operating system can directly call the main now. How? It can call now by prefixing the class name. So what's the class name? Some name you are given to the class now? Math dot main. Earlier, object creation confusion now. But no need object. Now we can call, I can directly call it math dot main. So now main will start the execution. Afterwards, what will happen? object creation will take place and all the other members are called. Are you clear? You'll have a doubt now. Sir, suppose if this method is also static. Sub is also static. If sub is also static, guys, observe. If sub is also static, how to call, Are you clear or not? What is math? Class name. What is OBJ? Object of the class. Math is name of the class. So non-static members require object, but static members doesn't require object. Now main can be inside the class or not? Now main can be inside the class or not? Yes. So now from Java onwards, your code is pure object oriented. It's fully object oriented. We don't have any criticisms now. It is not fully object oriented. We don't have any criticisms now. It is not fully object oriented. Watch, guys. I will once again show you how do you write the code in C++ and then how do you write the code in Java. Remember this is a C program what we learned yesterday. In the program, directly we define the members, go to main and call. That's it. Next, the first point I said your difference between procedural object oriented. In procedural, we directly write the member, but in object oriented, the members are inside a wrapper called as class. And then here I show you how to write a program in C++. Have a look, guys. Class name, collection of members, variables and functions. End of the class, there is a semicolon. Now write void main out of the class, create the object of class, call members of class by using the object created. Is it clear? Main is inside or outside? Outside. And here given the note they are describing you what is the problem if you write inside and why do you write outside. I explained you already the same thing only I given the notes to you there. Now come below and this is your Java code now. Have a look all of you. Class example. What do you write? Collection of members. Static members can be present. Non-static members can be. Next. Public static void main. And a main function takes a parameter, guys. In Java, main function takes a parameter. What is the parameter? String array. We are not learning about Java. I'm not going to tell you now why that string array. That's none of my business. So that how that is present in the language, I'm telling you that's all. This is how you write public static void main. Don't concentrate on all the things. So only focus on one word here. What is that? Static. When it is declared static, it will become a static member and directly called. Step 1. Create the object of class. Step 2. Call non-static members of class by using the object created. Step 3. Call static members of class by prefixing the class name. Are you clear? Operating system will call main like this. Example dot main. The example is class name and main is the function name. Example dot main. So now it will start the execution. Afterwards, object is created and other non-static members in the class are called. If there are any static members in the class, then you are required to prefix the class name and call. Is it clear, everyone? Did you understand me? Yes or not? My intention of explaining you about all these particular things is not about how to write code in Java. I want to tell you the differences in the thing, how the things have been changed time to time. How the things have been changed in time to time. In 80s, how do we used to write the object-oriented programming code? In 90s, how we are writing the object-oriented programming code. In 80s, even though we have object-oriented programming, it is not fully object-oriented. But from 95 onwards, the code is completely fully object-oriented. Okay? Now, finally, what is our intention? What language are we trying to learn? Java or C++ or C Sharp? Our choice is C Sharp. Am I clear? So if your choice is C Sharp, then let's understand how to write the code in C Sharp. Yesterday, I very clearly explained you this concept. Do you remember? C Sharp language was influenced from. C Sharp language was influenced from which language? From Java and Delphi. Influenced from Delphi and Java. It was influenced from Delphi and Java. Because it is influenced from Delphi and Java, regarding the main, C Sharp also followed the same standards adopted by Java. C Sharp also followed the same standards adopted by Java. In Java, what standards are adopted? In C Sharp also, same standards are adopted. What is that? What is that? Main inside the class declaring it as static. Main inside the class declaring it as static. Watch it, guys. I'll show you a C Sharp program. Will sound like a Java program only. Class example, collection of members, static and non-static. What do you write? This is simple here. In Java, you write public static void main string args. But in C Sharp, it is very simple. How you write in C language? Void main, prefix static void main. That's all. Next, create the, this is what I explained yesterday. Remember, object or instance. Yesterday, you know, simple type copies are called variables. Complex type copies are called objects or instance. Yes, guys. Some languages call objects. Some languages call instances. C++ and Java call object. C# will not use the word object. What did it say? Instance of the class. And unfortunately, we have a different word there, but both are same only. You call it as object of class or you call it as instance of class. Both are same. Both are just going to be one and the same. Next, call non-static members of class by using the instance created. There is a object created. Here is a instance created. Next. The same point as you there also. If you compare C++, C Sharp and Java, you won't find any difference. Except the thing is, only in the main. There we say public static void main string args, but here we say static void main. First difference. Second difference, here you call object, here you call instance. Other than that, there is no difference. How do you write a code in Java language and how do you write code in C Sharp language? Is my point clear for all of you? Yes or not? Okay, so that's what. So this is how the things has to be done. This is how exactly we just required to write the code now. Now I have a question before all of you. What is it? You know, I have a class. I have a class now. My class contains only main method in it. I have a class and my class contains only main function in it. Okay. So one more small thing I want to tell you here. 2 points here between C++, Java and C Sharp. In C++, class should end with a semicolon. But in Java, modern languages doesn't have a semicolon. Clear? Yes or not? Second, we call functions. We have functions in C++. Now. The functions are now called as methods. The difference in the terminology again. No more functions word now. What is it? Method. So function. What is main? Main is method, not a function. In C and C++, main is a function. But Java, .NET, Python, in all these languages, the word function is removed, guys. From now onwards, we use the word called as method. When I was programming, I'll teach you what is the drawback of using the word function and why did they change the word to method. I'll teach you in the coding part process. Okay. But from now onwards, what is it? Methods. Is it clear, all of you? Variables and methods, not variables and functions. It's variables and methods. Okay. Fine. And now you guys, what is the question? If my class contains static as properties, what properties here? Why are you confusing yourself, Avinash? Let the subject go on here. You will understand everything in detail later. You are confusing yourself. What do you mean properties? The word properties has a different meaning in object-oriented programming. So don't be confused. Stick to what I was telling you. Don't think beyond. Everything I'll give you a clarity step by step going forward. Okay? So we'll talk about everything going forward and you will understand. So what I am telling you is, as of now, initially, stick to where I was talking. That's all. Don't think beyond. Why to use static? Where to use static? That's all secondary here. We'll come across them in the later. Okay, day one, you started eating food. Don't plan to eat a biryani. Okay, start with the food only. Day by day, you will just get that particular capability to eat it in the later stages. Is it clear? So don't think beyond of it. Avinash, for you only I'm telling you. Fine. So, what is the question? I have a class and my class contains only main method in it. Do I require to create a object or instance to run the class? Come on, answer me. My class contains only main method in it. Do I require to create the object of class to run the class? No need. Why? What you have? Only main method. And main method doesn't require object. Array main method doesn't require object. Na? Directly you can start it. So you don't require to create the object at all. If your class contains only main method, object of the class is not required to run that class. I hope you guys are clear, all of you. Yes or not? Okay, you don't require any main to run the appropriate class. So why I'm telling you this point is, listen guys, until the next weekend, I will be showing you writing code, the basic fundamentals of the language. I'll tell you data types, conditional statements, okay, arrays, all these things I'll explain you. When I was explaining the basics now, I will be directly writing the code inside the main function. I'll be writing the code inside the main function. So you will not have anything like object-oriented programming, nothing will be present there. Object creation, nothing will be there. Okay? The coming week, not the next week, until next week, and I'll review these basics of yesterday. The coming week, I'll start with object-oriented programming. Once I start object-oriented programming, from that day onwards, I'll teach you about object creations, calling them by using objects and all. So this week and next week, there is no concept of object creations anywhere. All our code will be inside the main and we'll directly call it. Is it clearer or not? Okay, see, when you learn C language, the day one, at least 10 days, your teachers have taught you writing all the code inside main function only. After 10 days, they start teaching about subprograms, and in the subprograms, they start talking about functions and writing functions, calling functions, all they are taught. Am I correct? Here also same only. Next weekend, until next weekend, we will write all code inside main function. So no object creation, nothing will be presented. Direct execution will happen. Okay now? Fine. So coming back now, yeah. So we just got a clarity now how to write a program now. How to write a program. So if you want to write a program, what you require to do first? What they should do first? I need to define a class first. Or if you want to write a program, what should I do first? I need to define a class first. I need to define class first. Okay. How to define this class? In this class, I'll explain you all the appropriate things to you in detail. So first, before going to write a class, there are a set of rules and regulations. That we need to follow to write programs in C#. There are a set of rules and regulations that we need to follow to write a program in C#. Let us just understand what are the rules and regulations that you're required to follow. Okay, so have a look, guys, all of you. Look at this. Writing programs by using C# language. C# language has a lot of standards to be followed while writing code as following. Okay, look at this, guys. First point. It is a case-sensitive language. It is the case-sensitive language. So we need to follow the below rules and convention. What is rule and what is convention? Listen, all of you. Rule means you must follow. Convention means good practice. It's not mandatory to follow. It's a good practice. It is just going to be only a good practice. That's all. But when I say rule, don't forget. When I say rule means you don't have a choice. You cannot escape from that. You must follow a rule. But when I say conventions means, don't forget. You can. It's a good practice, industry standard. You may follow, may not follow also. That's your choice. Okay. So let me tell you about the rules. First rule. What is the first rule? All keywords in the language must be in lowercase. What is keyword? Array. Static is a keyword. Static is a keyword. Class is a keyword. Void is a keyword. Do you remember in C language you have 32 keywords or reserved words? The day you start C language, there are 32 keywords in C language. We also call them as reserved words. What are those? Public, private, void, all these are keywords. So same way, C# language is 81 keywords. How many? 81 keywords. And all these keywords must always be in the lowercase only. Okay? For example, here, look, class is a keyword. What? Int is a keyword. Static is a keyword. Again, void is a keyword. These are all keywords. All keywords I was using lowercase only. Did you notice it or not? All the keywords I use lowercase only. Small, public, keyword. Private, keyword. These are all keywords. Okay? I'll tell you, when I was telling you, when I use a keyword, I'll tell you where it is a keyword. I'll tell you. When I say it is a keyword, immediately you should understand. It should be in the lowercase. Okay now? Now, tell me, can you write a program in any language without consuming the libraries? Can you write a program in any language without consuming the libraries? For example, if I want to print the result, I should consume a library, printf and print the value now. So you need to consume the libraries now. So in every language there are libraries. What do you call libraries of C and C++? Header files. C language and C++ language libraries are called header files. stdio.h, conia.h, and the header files. In Java we call them as packages. In Java we call them as packages. In .NET we call them as class libraries. In .NET we call them as class libraries. Whatever is the name, doesn't matter. So here also you need to consume the libraries. Here also we need to consume the library. What is printf? Function. Array, printf is a function. It's the name of the function. Correct? Scanf. Name of the function. These are all names. They're all names. Remember, in C#, when you're consuming the libraries, all the names will be in Pascal case. All the names will be in Pascal case. So read this. While consuming the libraries, names will be in Pascal case. You have a doubt. Sir, what is Pascal case? Are you aware of what is Pascal case? What is this, guys? Which case? Which case means you're telling hello over you? Uppercase, yeah. They're uppercase. This is lowercase. This is called Pascal case. This is called camel case. Did you understand? This is camel case, not this one. This is Pascal case. So what is Pascal case? Pascal case means in every word, the first character will be in uppercase. In every word, the first character will be in uppercase. What is camel case? Camel case means it's a combination of lower and Pascal. First word will be in lower and second word onwards it will be in Pascal. Concentrate on this. First word lower, second word onwards Pascal. The combination is called camel. Okay? In these four guys, which one is readable? When you look at this, easily readable is Pascal case only. Why? In the first one, hello over you know, because of that you can read. Otherwise, if I type all uppercase characters, easy to read. Need to separate a word. Confusion now. But look at Pascal case. That's easy to understand. Hello is a word, R is a word, R is a word, U is a word. And camel case is also. First Pascal case, second camel case. C# follows Pascal case and Java follows camel case. C# follows Pascal case, but Java follows what? Camel case. Is it clear, all of you? Okay, these are the two casing things. Uppercase, lowercase. Okay, we'll least bother about it, but Pascal and camel are what we generally come across. Now, all of you are clear with my second point? You can see the example also. Right line. W is a word, L is a word. W capital, L capital. Right line. R is a word, L is a word. Read is a word, line is a word. R capital, L capital. Got it? What is right line? Right line is printf here. Read line, scanf. Your printf is scanf only. What do we call? Right line, read line. Okay, next. Read the third point, all of you. While defining our own classes and members, to name them, we can follow any casing pattern. My choice. That my choice, my class, my name, my choice. But what is suggested? What is suggested? That's only a convention, not a rule. Eh? First two are rules. The third one is a good practice. You noticed it? I followed it here. Are you clear? Yes or not? When you come to C sharp here, this main M also will be kept. All names will be in the Pascal case format. All the names will be in the Pascal case format for you like this. You'll be writing in the Pascal case. And it's not a mandatory, it's only a convention. Okay now? Next. Second point. Read the second point, all of you. We saved C programs with .c extension. We saved C++ programs with .cpp extension. We saved Java programs with .java extension. We saved C programs, C# programs with .cs extension. Are you clear? Now, when you want to save a file requires a name now? Yes or not? Now the doubt is, what name should I give to the... You can give any name of your choice. You can give any name. You can write your name as a file name. But the good practice is class name only use it as file name. Class name only use it as file name. Why? Tomorrow you have defined 50 classes and 50 files. Class name and file names are different. Then how do you know which class is present in which file? Will you open each file to see that if class name and file name are same, it will be easy to recognize or not? That is the reason why a class name and a file name should always be same. A class name and file name should always be same actually. Both are going to have the same name only in this case now. Okay now? Read the third point. That only is the third point. Guys, but better thing is always. So now we have defined a class called math. So what is the file name? Math.cs. You define a class called test.cs. You define a class called example.cs. Okay? And the last point. What is the last one? To write programs, guys, we need an IDE. IDE means integrated development environment. Recollect yourself, you have written the C programs under an IDE called Turbo C. Turbo C, we download the Turbo C and we write the code in the Turbo C. For C++, we say Turbo C++. For Java, they have an IDE is called Eclipse. NetBeans, different IDEs are there for Java, guys. Notepad++, they use different IDEs. Same way, for developing our .NET applications, we have a beautiful IDE called as vsStudio. What is it? vsStudio. A very beautiful IDE where you can build any type of application in the vsStudio. Today, this vsStudio is the popular IDE in the world. The popular IDE in the world. Okay? Even when they are writing Angular code, Java code and all, they use the vsStudio, but there's a different vsStudio called vsStudio Code. Two Visual Studios are there here. One is vsStudio for .NET developers. For other language developers, Microsoft has given vsStudio Code. vsStudio Code. That is for Java, Python, okay, Angular, all the HTML, all those things will be written under vsStudio Code. For core .NET, it is vsStudio. Are you clear? And guys, it's a free download. It's a free download. It's a lengthy size, guys. Nearly some 10 GB size will be there, but it's a free download. You can download it easily, freely from the Microsoft website. Okay, let me show you how you can download it. All of you concentrate. Tell me what you are going to use the Visual Studio for writing the code. You're going to use an IDE called Visual Studio for writing the code. Concentrate. First, type Visual Studio, download. Go to the download section. The latest version is Visual Studio 2022. 2022. Okay, the latest. This is the latest. Old one is 2019. Old one is 2019. Is a suggestion for all of you. If anyone already has a Visual Studio 2019 or 2017 on your systems, if you don't have, no worries here, don't bother about this one. Some people, if anyone has already Visual Studio on your computers, old version is either 17 or 19. First 17 came here, 19 and later 22. So many versions are there. 10 is there, 13 is there, 15 is there, 17 is there, 19, now 22. If anyone of you have the old version of the Visual Studio on your systems, if anyone has old version of the Visual Studio on your systems, don't worry, install of the latest version also, side-by-side execution will work, old one, new one. But new one for you, see, if you don't have Visual Studio on your system, it will be nearly some 10 GB size. It will be nearly some 10 GB size to install. If you already have Visual Studio and you're updating it, it will be 1 or 2 GB size, that's all. Are you clearer? Okay, so Narsimha, don't uninstall 19, don't uninstall. Simply install of 2022 also. That's only I'm telling you. Yeah. Instead of 2022, you have 19 now? Yeah, leave it. You install 2022. That's what I'm telling you. Install of 2022 on the top of it. Not work for you. See, on my system, I have both. See, this is the old one. Visual Studio 2019. This is the new one. Visual Studio 20. Both will work. Are you clear? If it is a fresh installation, it will take nearly 10 GB. If it is a override on the top, you are installing on the top, then it won't be 10 GB. You already have na additional components will be installed, so it will be 20 GB. That's all. Are you clear? So that's what I'm just telling for all. So don't bother, sir. I have old ones, sir. Do I need to install? Don't uninstall. Don't do that. If you uninstall, that's a big headache. That's a big headache. You're going to format your system. Until then, all components won't be deleted. Don't do that mistake at all. On the top of it, simply install of the latest one. Okay now? So guys, have a look. So that's what, 2022? And the version number is 17.1 year. 2022, basically that is the year when it is launched. The year when it is launched. The exact version number is this one, 17.1. 2019 is 16. And 2022 is 17. Okay? Okay, fine. And you see now coming down. You have 3 options here. All of you carefully watch it. You have 3 options. What are 3? Community, professional, enterprise. And community, free download. Community is a free download. Free IDE, see, powerful IDE, free for students. That is Microsoft provided free for students. No licensing required. But if you download professional or enterprise, it's a free trial. 1 month it works. Afterwards, you require licensing. Are you clear? So don't do that. What you install? Community. That's fully free provided by students. Even my computer also has the same community edition only. Is it clear, all of you? My computer also has the same community edition only. I too having the same community edition only. I too don't have any enterprise version or anything. Just a community edition, what I just have the Visual Studio on my system. That's it. So you can install that free community edition. Everything will work. No problem at all. Everything will be working for you over there. Don't think like enterprise is a higher, nothing. Enterprise is for licensed. That is for companies. Professional is also for companies. Professional is for small scale companies. And enterprise is for large scale companies. See, what did I have? See, community edition. and version number 17. Are you clear? 17 is a version number. Actually, there is an update, guys. I did not update. There is actually an update for that. The latest version has to be updated. I did not do that. Okay. Mine is 17 point something something, but the latest is still higher version. Okay. Not an issue. Just for Mac also it is available. Yeah, for Mac also is available. This is for Windows. Come below, you'll find see. vsStudio for Mac. For Mac it is 2019, 2022. And I tell you one more thing, remember? This is not for our for .NET. It's for all the other things like Java, all these things, and it works on Windows, Linux, Mac, everywhere it works. Okay, this is really for Windows, and this is for Mac. For Linux, you require to install vsStudio code. vsStudio code has to be installed. Okay, so there is a vsStudio for Mac 2022. So who are asking for 22? It's a preview edition here, still not launched. Maybe they'll be providing you within due time. Right now it is a preview edition. Okay, guys, how to download? Just click on the free download. Click on the free. Very simple, easy, guys. Click on the free download. It will download you the installer. It will download you the installer. It don't download the software. It will download the installer. Have you seen it? When you download anything on your browser, you see in the left-hand side bottom. vsStudio setup, say, you see in the left-hand side bottom in Google Chrome. If you are using Edge browser, on the right-hand side top, it will show you. On the right side top, it will show you Edge browser. And also, bottom of the left-hand side. Without all the headaches, better go and see downloads folder here. It's in the downloads folder. Where left, right, not all this nonsense. Directly go to downloads folder on your computer. Go to my computer, downloads. You'll find in the downloads folder. See there. Are you clear? Run this, guys. Run this. Actually, mine already installed now because mine is already installed. Okay, no issues. But you get this window like this. It's downloading the installer. It is downloading the installer. Okay, just a minute. It will launch you. Wait. Yeah. Actually, this is all I said you. It updated here. My system has 7.06 and the updated version is